walking through the exhibition, you will encounter different things. Already entering the museum, you might notice the first work is a ventilator. It's like a wind machine which is flying around, almost like a little weather system. And once you move further into the exhibition, you will come down the escalator and you see something, two spirals, which appears to be moving, just like yourself on the escalator. I like this idea of descending into the show as the spiraling goes on, and on one side you have a wall of moss, almost like a garden or a vertical garden, you could say, like suggesting that architecture can actually also be nature, or nature is a way of suggesting a space. And on the other side, across from the moss wall, there are very ephemeral watercolors. They are barely there, you could say. They are so thin that it is more water than color, I could say. And it almost looks like a kind of a sky. So I think once you are in the show, you are being welcomed by these ephemeral elements: the wind, the garden, the sky, and the spiraling movement. And as you move through into this area of the exhibition here, things get more architectural. There's a mirror wall, a kaleidoscopic wall, which very much is integrated into the architecture. There are the landscapes, the photos, which actually are a photo series of a glacier where there is being a big dam is being built. And what we see in these photos are not visible anymore because the glacier now has been flooded, or this area has been flooded because the dam is done. So the photos, they show us a landscape that once was, almost like a memory. They're the color prints, which is a proposal to look at white light, but in spectrum or in a spectral color. In this part of the show here, again there is a night sky, almost like a dream of spheres, just like our planet, our small planet is also a sphere, an atmosphere, we could say. So every planet has their own spherical story to tell us. And if you go very close to the stars, you actually see yourself. So just like the stars in the night, they are great as a perspective taking. Like to look at the stars, in fact, could be like looking at yourself. And of course, again, I have tried to propose that it is in fact impossible to make water run up, almost impossible. So the reversed waterfall, it's almost like a little mountain made with scaffold, and the water is sort of running up the mountain. I like this idea of the, making the impossible possible. And the exhibition continues with some light, some floor, and gradually I think we have been introduced to so many elements that you could imagine that you have the materials to build your own environment. You have a floor, you have a wall, you have a sky, you have lights. So it's almost like when walking through the show, you can create your own habitat, or you can question what is a habitat. And finally, once you go up the escalator again into the black box, there is an assembly of rainbows, or one very big rainbow if you want. And I think it's important to understand that everybody sees something unique, depending on where you stand, and also depending on how high you are. And you should try to maybe go down in your knees and up again, and you will see the colors will change a lot. I like this idea of your eyes actually being very influential in how you see things. we sort of think that when seeing things, we take things in. But in the rainbow, or with a rainbow, we could also argue that seeing things is actually like creating things. So just like the whole exhibition, the room with the rainbow assembly is very much like, well, you can make your own habitat, you can make your own world, and seeing the world is to some extent actually also creating the world. So I could argue that you are, when visiting the show, in fact, the artist.